To the Let's Talk program in care of One Radio, PO Box 195, Charlestown in Nevis. So give us a call. Our numbers are 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. Here's a suggestion. You have a question or comment, perhaps you can get a pencil, piece of paper, write it down so that you're well organized. And when you're getting on the show, you take as little time as possible so that we can accommodate as many of you as we can. We ask only, first of all, you respect yourselves and then respect others, because we will not accept anything we deem that's not within our broadcast standards, but we encourage you to always be forceful with your point. Thank you all again for joining us. Your voice in the community, thought that get results. You can also follow our live stream of this program on our YouTube channel at Vaughan Radio, on our Facebook page at Vaughan Radio. Click subscribe. Thank you all again. Your voice in the community, thought that get results. Tonight, Roger Fifield, good evening.
Good evening, Webbo, and good evening to my fellow panelists, and of course a special good evening to all those who are listening and viewing via the various mediums. Webbo, this evening I'm happy for the invitation once again. I'm hoping that tonight we would have a fruitful discussion as per usual, and listeners would call in and interact with us. Webbo, last week there was the SIDS 4 conference held in Antigua, and I guess a little later in the program we can probably touch on that and probably go more in depth with it later in the program. Webbo, just want to say thank you once again for having me this evening again. Thanks.
Conrad Nye Libert, good evening.
Good evening, Webbo, and a pleasant good evening to your staff here at Vaughan Radio and to my colleagues around the table. A pleasant good evening as we gather once again to discuss issues affecting the people locally and regionally and internationally. Webbo, conversation that we should have, we should continue to have. It's a conversation that I like to be a part of, so I'm thanking you once again for extending this invitation to me to come here and be a part of the discussion, where I hope at the end of the evening we can arrive at some solutions to the various situations that confronts us here on Nevis. Webbo, I thank you once again for having me.
Edric W. Stanley, good evening.
Good evening, Webbo, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Good evening to the people of St. Kitts, and more particularly the good people, gracious people, honorable people of Nevis. Those who listen to us on the World Wide Web, Facebook, YouTube, those platforms. Although Dr. Brantley has been getting some licks from the St. Kitts end with the MSR media invitation which he brought here. One thing has nothing to do with the other. The MSR media was brought here primarily to initiate another opening regarding tourism, the economy, as the case might be. And as a result, the Nevis Island administration may have given $150,000 US, which means you have to spend money to make money. And in the leadership and thought processes of Dr. Brantley saw the opening of a new avenue for teaching our people a skill which has not been open to them over a long period of time. The movie business is a vital business. As a result, it goes far and wide once that information gets out that this was shot in Nevis. So you got to be a penny wise and a pound wise and an extra dollar wise with reference to the 150,000 US that Dr. Brantley spent to lower MSR Media here to Nevis. At the same time, as St. Kitts recognized the potential of this new avenue of investment, new avenue of advertisement, new avenue of global exposure to Nevis and Nevis in general. Dr. Brantley wisely spent that money, but MSR Media was grabbed and brought to St. Kitts, and as a result, they, for whatever reason, however the transaction took place, they in fact went into another area of the CBI program, which right now in St. Lucia, I believe St. Lucia has somewhat disassociated itself from the lawsuit that MSR Media has brought against St. Kitts in particular regarding the CBI program. So, based on the politics, Dr. Brantley had nothing at all to do with what happened in St. Kitts and MSR Media, because they were brought here to make movies, and our people have greatly understood the new edition of getting into the movie business. So, with that in mind, Dr. Brantley was well in his rights to in fact invest the 150,000 US to make movie and to expose our people to the whatever skills the movie industry brought to our people. It is an enhancement of additional skills for that new venture, in my view. But politics has entered into the arrangement regarding Dr. Brantley and, should I say, the former Prime Minister, blaming or accusing or associating Dr. Brantley with MSR Media and the lawsuit. Whatever happened, I hope, when the court case come to light in its fullness, we, the listening public, will get the full story as to why Dr. Brantley's name was brought into the fray, into the confusion, because in my view, movie and the CBI program are two different kettle of fish, two different aspects of our economy, and as a result, it is alleged that St. Kitts is involved in underselling in the industry the citizenship by investment program, and as a result, MSR Media has taken the position that St. Kitts has violated the trust of, I guess, the other regional players, alleged players. So I hope that some clarity would come to that confusion, where Dr. Brantley would not be blamed for the MSR Media lawsuit against the former Prime Minister or the two former Prime Ministers and the CBI program in St. Kitts. I would leave it there at the moment.
Interesting stuff, Mr. Stanley. I'm not totally aware of the intricates. I'm sure you're also not aware, because there are things being said, and I suppose, as you have mentioned, until the court case, we probably won't know a lot. Won't be able to say much, but it's quite unfortunate to see what have really transpired from what I consider to be quite a good economic importance to Nevis. And it would have been of economic importance to think it's true. But what I can say, I'm aware that they came to Nevis first, and they were functioning here. And then all of a sudden, they packed their bag and went to St. Kitts. And a lot of people start talking politics about it and so forth. I listened to Mr. Brantley briefly, and one statement that stuck out in my mind was when he said that, or words to the effect that they did not want them in Nevis. They just didn't want them in Nevis. They probably was not even interested in the music, in the movie industry in St. Kitts. Those from the St. Kitts end, but they simply just didn't want them in Nevis. And this was coming from the era of the unity government. And it's really a shame to see what we Nevisians have, a vehicle, a political vehicle, that would have taken us somewhere. They were in effect during those many years trying to slow us down. And that, I said, I cannot accept. That, to me, it's almost like highway robbery. And if there is an issue that I can talk about, it's that aspect where through this political configuration and arrangement, the Nevis end always suffer. And I do hope with this new administration things can be better, and we can, walk that path of trust and realize that maybe we are sisters and not Nevis being a colony of St. Kitts. I'm not one who is going to dig so deep into the politics of Nevis in terms of the CCM or the NRP, because I must give them a chance, because we are on a political arrangement in the Federation which is very restrictive to our development. And I do hope that people can not just see it but be willing to act. Because to me, to hear these things happening, you wonder how much these going to be a part of the future that we hope would be one that the Federation can act in accordance with, good federal principles, and not that type of thing where it looks like Nevis is a colony of St. Kitts. I do hope we can get over that, and we keep on trying. Every administration said one of the first thing they need to do is to work on the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis. Every administration that really come into existence, and it looks as if we cannot settle on a trustworthy and good understanding amongst the politicians here in Nevis and over in St. Kitts. It's unfortunate that such a very important industry has been basically destroyed, and it also reveals that there are bandooing taking place with the passport and the passport money. The underselling of the passport well, it's now a lawsuit, but we know it's been happening all the time for a long time, and we just take it as well. I mean, that's the approach to get investors, and it seems to me like individuals themselves have been given passport to go out there and seek investors and so forth. These are things that really not supposed to happen. These are things to me which, as a partner within the region, make us look bad. I'm not saying it's not happening, in other islands, but it make us look bad. And you know how sensitive that area of passport sale is in the international arena. And so we are basically shooting ourselves in the leg when we act in such manner, underselling the passports. Individuals are doing it. But I've been reading up also, and Dr. Drew has been doing a lot and working hard and expeditiously in closing these loopholes. And I hope he can seriously close them once and for all, because that's the only way that not just St. Kitts Nevis, but the region and their passport selling, what can I say, and their passport selling business, put it that way, can continue. Eyes are upon us globally, and I'm sure sale of passports and money laundering, all these things are under the microscope. And so we got to do better. We got to clear up these bad edges, and of course, and as for Nevis, the passport belongs to all of us. St. Kitts and Nevis, but we got to be very mindful in the way we trod going forward, because everyone was so convinced that we are in the right boat when we were in the unity government. Now we are hearing such things being taken place, and so who to trust? Seems like not even our own politician, who sometimes give us the impression that all is well and all is fine. We can even be settled with what they're saying, because sometimes people are driven by other things, and the situation that Nevision find themselves in, or Nevis and its economy, I think we got to play it safe, and there are times we got to humble ourselves, and I hope that we can just rise above that state of affair, that we can be more prominent, more firm, more strong, more independent in our doings, and claim what is ours, which is money from the passport, and go forward as a little island.
I would just like to chime in on this particular topic too. What I would say is that, the sales of the passports over the years would have generated probably billions of dollars. And we can all agree that it was an important part, it played an important part in terms of revenue. For a number of years, I think that it was over 50% of the total revenue. And having said that, now this lawsuit has come about, I believe that it is in our best interest to unify as a country. We know the court system. One side feel aggrieved, and the other side probably feel as if that they're in the right. And of course, that is going to play out in the courts. But at this point in time and going forward, I want to think that we as a people, where this very important part of our revenue is at stake, we must do whatever we can do to take out the loopholes going forward, so we can rise again. I think during the time, and let me just put it this way, a few years ago, our passport, climbed the ranks and was sought after. And I believe if our passport was that sought after, then it must have been in high demand. And we all know basic economics when the demand is high. So I am not seeing why the price had to be lowered. And this is something that the authorities would have to address, and address speedily. We have grown accustomed to the CBI program. I think it might have been just last year when we were paid $1,000, it might have been $500.
Both.
Right. And persons started to get excited, thinking that, hey, at least for the next few years, I'll be getting a $500, $1,000, whatever it is, as given back to us from the sale of the passports. And I believe that the sales of the passport, some persons might argue, but I believe that the monies, some of the monies that were used from the sale of the passport were put to good use. I also believe that some of those said monies could have been put to better use. It could have been put to education or the health sector, the security system, to beef up the security, especially in times like these, where there's so much, wrongdoings, murders and stuff like that. We have to have the foresight, monies coming in, our work coming in, we utilize them to the best of our abilities. And this is why I'm saying that we must be united on this one. It doesn't make any sense for us to pull apart. It doesn't matter which government takes the reign of office, this particular program would be crucial. I mean, when we look at it, basically, apart from the CBI, tourism, but the tourism sector is so fragile, and we saw how fragile it is and can be when we look back just about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. COVID came in. What happened? Borders were closed. And when the borders were closed, what happened? Persons were restricted. Persons couldn't travel. So the essence of our economy basically closed in on us. So we have to be cognizant of that. We have to be forward thinkers. We have to be, in a position to initiate things and to be more creative in terms of how can we generate, how can we create revenue to sustain our country and to build our country. And again, we must be united on this. We cannot pull against each other. We have to find ways, because I am not a pessimist. I believe that there is still hope. The court hasn't decided as yet, and I am hopeful. I am hopeful that, however, we can come out and use this as a learning tool going forward. I don't know if anyone want to chime in again.
Well, I would say that we have to understand the dynamics within the MSR lawsuit against the two former prime ministers with reference to the lowering of the price of the CBI program, Citizen by Investment program, and to truly understand the far-reaching ramifications with reference to where the money is coming from whom, and based on the expenditure or expenditures, I think the areas of expenditure were visualized and adhered to and utilized to the highest extent, because right now I think there is a youth investment program from 5 to 18 years, but that CBI investment has filtered through every facet of our economy in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have gotten a certain amount, and we see the roads to which some of that money has been paid or earmarked. We've seen the advancement of water, electricity. So we have to be careful in terms of identifying, I believe, every facet of our economy has been touched by the dollars that came in from the CBI program. But we have to ensure that we get the nuts and bolts, or the point of the lawsuit. Why was it brought, and against whom it is brought? In sharp focus, the two former prime ministers, and including the current prime minister, who is attempting to straighten out or iron out the difficulties in this MSR lawsuit against St. Kitts, and by extension Nevis is going to get some of the heat, based on proximity, based on association, based on affiliation, and the whole 9 yards. So in that regard, we have to ensure that MSR, whatever they have regarding the lawsuit and the evidence in court, be favorable enough, but yet not favorable enough for us to win the lawsuit, because we've been accused of lowering the price of the CBI program, and it's a competitive sport, it's a competitive arrangement, and we have to ensure that we get the biggest share of the CBI program pie. Consequently, we have to ensure that MSR loses the battle against St. Kitts, and by extension St. Kitts and Nevis.
Mr. Stanley, must be St. Kitts Nevis. It's one CBI program. So it cannot just be against St. Kitts, it must be against St. Kitts Nevis.
Well, I'm saying to you, based on what I've heard so far and analyzed so far, MSR Media was brought here but they have diverted into the CBI program. How? I can't tell you. But monies have been talked about, 150,000, which was given to MSR Media by the Nevis Island Administration for the production and elevation of skills in the movie industry, and therefore we have benefited greatly because they stayed at local hotels, they employed local people, and some big money passed with reference to salaries based on the information I've been given. So we have benefited, and we have gone beyond the expenditure of the 150,000 US that the Nevis Island Administration has given. But we are at a particular juncture where it is alleged that MSR Media has gone into the CBI investment program, and thus holding two former prime ministers responsible and accountable. So let us wait until the dust settles, and we will get the information, but I hope it wouldn't tarnish our reputation. And I hope MSR Media loses the case. PAM has elected a new leader. Is she a lawyer?
Yes, she is.
Very well. I always believe, even though, well, let me not say too much about lawyers.
They are professionals.
Well, based on the fact that they earn the most, maybe they contribute the most too. In that regard, we're hoping that she will do a better job.
Edric,
Yes.
Let me take this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Good evening. I just wanted some clarification. You said that the Nevis Island administration gave MSR Media a one-time $150,000. It was a one-time thing?
So it's alleged.
Alleged, so it's not confirmed.
Well, I don't want to use, this is a legal term. Alleged, it was said that they were given. I don't have the evidence, and
Also, it's not
consequently.
an official figure.
Right.
Okay. All right. So the numbers being bandied about is
150,000 US.
Yeah, but that was ostensibly for accommodation at hotel.
Well, not necessarily. Based on my information, again, I don't have the evidence in front of me. But based on what I heard, the 150,000 US has been spent to lure MSR Media here, to Nevis, to or for the advancement of the movie industry, from which our people, not only in Nevis but also in St. Kitts, have benefited greatly based on skills acquired, experience learnt, and ultimately production made.
Well, I've heard of investors being given concession to set up shop here, but to actually give them hard cash. Isn't that somewhat of an anomaly?
Well, your terminology or categorization could be correct, but you have to spend in order to make.
Gentlemen, I can ask a question?
Sure. Yeah.
What's the significance of how much money was spent to assist and so on and so forth in the context of the issue we're dealing with?
It is insignificant.
The significance is that our government has essentially, if it is in fact so, right, has propped up an investor who then turned around and bite us. Right, that to me is significant, and the quantum is also important in the sense that I've heard on other stations that this was not just a one-time payment, and I would think that in the interest of openness and transparency and accountability and all of that should be clarified once and for all.
Okay, well, let me ask this. You said they were paid and they turned around and bite us, correct?
Yes.
So if they didn't turn around and bite us, you had no qualms with it?
Yeah, I'd have a qualm with it.
Okay. Work with me. So if you were to learn that the government, any government being in Nevis or St. Kitts, has paid in any way investors to invest here in any manner, you have a problem with it?
No, I have no problem with concession.
Now work with me.
But
I said, in any manner, in cash or kind.
I have a problem with cash.
You have a problem with cash?
Yes, concessions is one thing.
Yeah, work with me. I got you. So, if the offer on the table from the government, any government, is you give us $50,000 in cash as opposed to $2 million in kind, you will advise it's better to give them the $2 million in kind.
In kind, in
right.
concession.
Well, in kind, but only concession.
Well, how would you define kind?
Kind means something else other than hard cash.
Well, that something else is important. This is
yeah. So I know it is important. That's why I ask. Because you see, what happens sometimes, you see, we make a point and we hold it specific because of the person or the thing that is involved at the time, so that when something else comes up with someone, we move the goalpost.
It's not a matter of moving the goalposts. I think that
you could term it.
It should be explained.
Yeah, but you see, what happens is we are trying to find out what your principle is, and then we can put other stuff on it.
No, I call to establish the figures and what actually was it used for.
Right, and I wanted to know.
And apparently,
I wanted to know how does it fit in and the significance to the issue that we have with this lawsuit and all these kind of things.
It shows up bad policy where you essentially show up an investor and this investor is now turning around and sullying the name of the country.
What happens
I don't
if you
understand
showed up
how
an
you can
investor?
just give
What happened if you showed up an investor
$150,000?
and with the investment that you made, it was a massive failure?
Say again?
What happened if you showed up an investor
Uh-huh.
and the investment that was made was a massive failure?
That's egg on the government's face.
Okay. Do you know of any investments that were made by any government, apart from this investment, that failed?
Yes, well, I know of government showing up investors, so-called investors, before.
And they failed. And you had expressed the same disdain?
Of course.
Okay.
Because it is public money. You should account for it.
Yeah,
I
just
don't understand how you can have public money being dished out to investors.
But let me ask you this.
Kind of firm contract.
You said about failure, and I was just listening to Mr. Stanley and you, and I decided, I wanted to find exactly about the discussion, so I'm asking the question. So you're saying that whatever investments that the government of Nevis made with this MSR media turned out to be a colossal failure?
I'm not saying it's a colossal failure.
What kind of failure is it then?
It is a failure in the sense
Yeah, what
that...
type?
Hello?
What type?
A failure. Failure is a failure.
Okay.
Right?
You're not saying
you
it's
use the word colossal. I'm not assigning an adjective to it. But the fact is...
Well, let me put it this way to see how simple I can put it. So, the investment that the Nevis Island government made with MSR Media, you are thus concluding it ought not to have done because it's a failure?
Right. It should have been, there should have been more vetting, there should have been more due diligence and all of that stuff. Because I remember that there were some misgivings in certain quarters about the MSR Media people. Right? I'm sure you would have heard them too. You see, and that's what I'm saying.
No,
I am sure that some people benefited from MSR being there. Okay, but you have to look at the thing in totality, right? Look at what can possibly happen now with this case.
I'm not so sure that I agree with you, but I got you. This almost sounds like when Edric tried to persuade me that the persons who invested with British American were silly. And
I don't see the connection. What's the connection there?
I said, this almost is in the stream. I view it as when Edric is trying to convince me that the persons who invested with British American were foolish, right? Because in the end, British American failed and they lost their monies.
This is a public money,
hello.
This is not a private investor of people doing what they wish with their
work with
money.
me. Hello. I guarantee you, if you listen to me carefully and you follow me, you will finally realize that what the connectivity that I'm making. This almost persuades me, just like when Edric is trying to convince me, that the persons who invested with British American were foolish because British American failed. So, you get it now?
No,
Okay.
I still don't see the connection.
All right.
If I am investing money in a company and it fails, that's on me, okay? For choosing a bad investment.
Yeah, but I'm speaking about the general. I'm speaking about the general
public money.
Yeah, but I'm speaking about the general philosophy and thinking. Work with me. Work with me. Whether the person was Naya or whether it was Fifield, I'm talking about the general philosophy, so that because the thing failed, in hindsight now is saying, oh, that was foolish. If it didn't fail, I wouldn't hear him.
No,
That's how life is.
It was a success, yeah. But obviously, if it failed,
Oh, okay.
if it failed,
Right, so if it was a success, no need to talk.
if it was a success speaks for itself,
So I got you.
failure is something else.
So I got you.
Consequences are different.
So I got you. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Okay then.
Yeah, Edric.
Well, you see, based on the 150,000 US dollars, it represented a certain value. And even you grant concession, which may not be in dollar terms, but it represented a value which could be converted into hard currency. It must be understood that if you're going to grant concession, concession is a value, has a value, and therefore it shouldn't be nitpicked.
Edric, you agree that you have to appreciate that the person is thinking about cash, hard cash, and so some people differentiate a lot between cash and check and credit card and those kind of things, and that's, but the gentleman probably is doing so. I don't know if we want to, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Right, Fifi?
Yes.
I see you want to get in. Go ahead.
Well, Webbo, how I look at the conversation, it's like saying that I got a girlfriend.
Well, hold the girlfriend for the time being. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Herbert.
Good evening. That's a light moment for the night. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Herbert.
Yeah.
I am surprised that you spent so much time on that distraction just a while ago.
You want me to tell you why? You want me to tell you why?
I said I'm surprised that you spent so much time on that distraction just a while ago.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
The reason I say that is because, as far as I know, this, as far as I read, this is about a lawsuit that was brought because of the underselling of our passports, and that it is illegal. As far as I know, whoever the Prime Minister is at all material time is the only one that could get caught up in this, because they're the ones who say, when they're asked what's going on with the fund, they say it's going all right, and how much is in the kitty, you say, what do you want to know that for? So now that they get caught with their hand in the kitty, they're looking for help, who are looking for somebody to blame, are looking for help to explain it. Let them explain it themselves. That previous caller was nothing but a distraction. It was not a thing to do with the MSR, the Premier bringing the MSR media here. It was to do with the selling of passports. Premier had nothing to do with that. I'm sure the Premier could defend himself, but I mean, we got to put these things down for what they are. Nonsense. Good evening.
Okay, thank you. Fifield?
Yes, Webbo. As I was saying, you know, I might have got a girlfriend from some other island, and we started communicating. I decided to bring her to Nevis. The plan is to get married and to get 5 children. So we got married. We get the 5 children as both of us planned. And then somewhere along the line, she divorced me, went separate ways, and now gone with Tom. Mind you, remember, she is a foreigner, and she now gone with Tom, have a relationship with Tom, and then things start to go bad, you know, and then off of our free will, and maybe some convincing from Tom, she went with Tom, leave me. We succeeded in doing what we wanted to do. and that is to have 5 children. Now she is no more with me. She went now and probably didn't live up to Tom's expectation, and probably decide Tom might be treating her badly, and she decided to sue Tom. Then how should I be blamed for that? I'm not saying it. It's not adding up in my, that is just how, in a synopsis, how I look at it. Can't be my fault.
Well, let me just make a comment on that scenario you just brought. 2 persons in a relationship, and the fault cannot be totally on that one person. Did you get me?
Now, what I'm saying, 2 of us in a relationship, we decided that we're going to have 5 children. We get our 5 children. Somewhere along the line,
I heard it.
we break up. And the lady that was my wife now go with you. And whatever transpired between you and the lady decide to sue you. How can that be my fault?
Well,
But I think it's a good analogy.
maybe it is too fine for you to see. Even though she showed an inclination to go with the other person, you should have been able to persuade her. And if you were not able to persuade her, you have to take some of the blame. That's the point I'm trying to make.
So it's not that absolute clear then. It's not an absolute perfect analogy. I understand what Mr. Stanley is saying.
Okay, good.
But yeah, I can't see any nexus between an accommodation fee, which 150,000 years, I regard as an accommodation fee for whatever reason you offer or you give it to a potential investor to come here and set up and to set up a movie industry. I just can't see any nexus between that and lawsuit for passport sales. It's a distance.
Well, it's a stretch, maybe because we do not have all the information. But for whatever reason, MSR Media is suing St. Kitts Nevis government, which Mr. Brantley has vehemently disassociated himself from the transaction between MSR Media.
But he didn't have to disassociate himself because they did not bring him in.
No?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I don't...
Okay, all right. You're correct.
I was just making a point here right? And when you have a debate or discussion, or a case for that matter, if you bring everything in that is irrelevant to the case, you'll never get that case tried. But you have to understand that it is a strategy that people use.
I understand that.
That is why I asked the question. And I know what the caller, I understand what the caller was saying, but because of my role, I couldn't just dismiss it like he can. You see, I have to listen and work with the caller, right? But that's why I asked the question. If you were talking about this issue with this lawsuit, what Mr. Brantley have to do with it?
Nothing.
There's a reason why they didn't put in his name.
But he has been drawn into the...
He hasn't been drawn into it. You have a copy of the lawsuit?
No, not the lawsuit.
But
from a political point
when
of
I
view,
was listening, you all, 5 feet liar, wasn't the lawsuit you all talking about?
we were talking about the lawsuit, but
Yes.
there's a political arm to it, where he is blamed by the former Prime Minister.
But what I'm saying is, again, you must anyway, when you're doing something, as I said, I was listening to the discussion. All I wanted to know, well, okay, so what are we talking about? This lawsuit? Are we talking about when MSR Media came here to to do some movies,
Right.
etc., etc.
Correct.
Correct what? So that's what you are
We
talking
were talking about the emergence and ultimately the presence of MSR Media in Nevis. They were brought here by the Nevis Island administration, which had nothing to do with St. Kitts. But St. Kitts looked over on the Nevisian plate, saw MSR Media in Nevis, and lured them to St. Kitts. Ultimately, MSR Media did what they had to do in Nevis, and that transaction might be ongoing regarding the movie. But that's all with Dr. Brantley. But for some reason, it is alleged that the former Prime Minister wanted to bring...
I'm going to go to a call, but quickly let me ask you, because you claim you always like to listen to me in the morning, correct?
That is correct.
You ever heard me say the essence of genius is to not only know what to overlook, but also...
But who do?
Okay. Good evening, thank you for holding.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I find good evening to all your panelists.
Good evening.
I find this discussion very interesting, you know. And while Mr. Brantley says he's not implicated, there's still the question of due diligence. Was he aware of the person's character prior to coming here? Can anybody answer that? Hello?
Yes. I believe so. I believe there was due diligence in place and so forth. I mean, are they bad people? Have they turned out to be bad people?
So how do you know? How do you know somebody changed?
But that's
Because you see what I am looking at even this whole thing differently. I believe that this matter was locally instigated. If you hear the issues, now I don't condone wrong, eh? Corruption is corruption and crime is crime. We just get a bad straight. But the issues I heard mentioned were being aired before MSR get into it. Have you thought about it? Some request to be made, the Prime Minister don't sign and doing this and doing that. Those issues are being aired locally without MSR intervention even before they came to St. Kitts. There were certain issues that people had. But what I see is that really, as a matter of timing.
Carla, can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
So if you're saying that those issues, whatever they might be, would have been aired before...
On the radio, you know. I mean, on the radio.
Yeah, aired.
Radio station.
Vented, before MSR came here. So are you saying that there are matters that were known? And if there were matters that were known and someone come to our shows, don't you think that that person or persons would probably hear to? Are those persons, they do not listen to radio? You mentioned radio.
You also believe that people use people?
Now, I'm just asking, you spoke to the fact that they were aired on radio.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering if those persons or other persons don't listen to radio also. That's all.
What does MSR have to gain? These are questions, you know. What does MSR have to gain from take, and why wasn't the matter taken to our courts? Because the impact or the fallout could be more drastic if it was taken here. You understand?
Caller, might I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
When you say the fallout, meaning what?
I am saying, let us assume the matter is being tried in the U.S. court. The U.S. now, they talk about Chinese company. You know the Geopolitics. And Galaxy is a Chinese company. We know how America feel about China. Can we looking at it that way? I'm looking that way.
Right. So the matter meaning what? The
investigations made in the writ.
Right. Which the persons who the accusation are made of said categorically they were not true, correct?
They were what?
They're not true.
How can I say that? There was an allegations.
No. What I'm saying is, I'm asking if the person
I can answer that.
Yeah, but if caller, work with me. If you let me finish, I believe you will understand.
Yes.
I'm saying the allegations that were made in the lawsuit involving or against the persons, they said that those allegations in reference to them are not true.
Then let the matter be tried here.
Well, does it matter where it is tried if it's not true, providing that you get a fair trial?
It does, you know. Remember I said the geopolitical thing?
So you
They're concentrating on Galaxy and the prisoners, and you understand? I have been looking at it, because there are more than one ways of looking at it. And I say, you know something? This whole thing is rigged. Now all who are in, they may be guilty, but I am saying to take the matter to the U.S. What interest does the U.S. have in the matter? What interest does the U.S. have in the matter other than a Chinese company is involved? And the damage it can cause to our CBI program. So while they're going after the Chinese, I have nothing about it. I have my feelings about what has happened or what is happening. But when I stop to look at it, you say, no, something you think is engineered, you know. Because I don't even think any of the allegations made are new. Whether they said that they didn't do it or they wasn't there. You know? So we have to take a broader look. Have you thought about that? How does it sound? Hello?
You see, I'm listening because every time I try an intervention, I can't get, so I'm going to wait until when you're finished, and then I'll...
I'm finished so far. Go ahead.
No, I'll wait till when you're finished.
No, it's just that I have been looking at this, you know something? This thing is somebody or bodies put up MSR to file the thing in the USA. That's all I am saying, whether the contents are true or not. The same way they could put the one with Dr. Jew in our local court. The whole matter could have gone to our local judiciary system. That's all I am saying. Not trying to justify anybody. But I believe that the players is or some local persons with the intention of bringing down somebody. It's like Haman, you know, Haman built the gallows, but Marty can't get trapped in it. So I believe it was built for the unity. And it so happened that before they could get the matter straight in the court, the government changed. Because I have been listening, you know. Oh, they must stop the prison thing. Then it was said, well, Kim Harris said, oh, they have about 1,900 certificate of citizenship, and he left them on Jews' desk. Then they said, well, he can't sign them. The Prime Minister went and passed this thing, making it law, or reinforcing the law that the amount is 250,000. The question is, if these were passed or accepted before that law, is it retroactive? Now they put Dr. Jew in a position, a very uncomfortable position. How can you go and ask him to go and rescind the citizenship of the people? who got it before, you see. And another thing about this price cutting, we must be honest. We started at 250. Antigua went to 200. Dominica must have went to 150. Then they cut the gun to 100. Now, if you're in an open market, you're going to be stuck at 250. Everybody's selling the same product, the same mango. Well, that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
I'll hang up and listen.
Okay, thank you.
I did say I hope that MSR Media fails. And based on what the lady is saying now, is that competitively, everybody has, I'm not sure if it's a legal option, but a practical option to, in fact, move the price. I do not know if there is a contractual arrangement regarding the OECS countries having to abide by the contractual arrangement with reference to the 250, 200, as the case might be. But a half a loaf is better, no bread at all. And based on that, if I'm not obligated by contractual arrangement to remain at 250 or 200, I will try and get my half a loaf and getting no bread at all. So therefore, I am going to move my price. So where we are as a country, I'm not sure if we are in a contractual arrangement to stick to a certain price, why MSR Media is attempting to say that we have gone at a lower price.
But isn't it law that the St. Nevis passport is sold at a particular price, a local law? You're not sure?
That is where the dispute comes in, Naya. Because you have to sell at a certain price, you cannot go below
a certain price. But what the caller was saying made a lot of sense. It really make one think very serious. Of course, they didn't want the case in the local court because maybe simply they don't feel like they would get justice here. Again, it will do a lot of damage taking it where they have taken it, I suppose, in America. And so there is great potential to do severe damage to the program, really. And so what the caller was saying, I think she gave cause to think, as she put it, in a wider sense. But I still cannot see much of a connection between a company coming here and was facilitated with some money from local administration, and then we have lost them to sink it, and they find themselves in some circumstance down there. As I say, I can't comment much on it because I still don't know the facts or the details of the lawsuit, really. But it's unfortunate that this has taken place, and it really, well, I suppose for the people it's not so bad because we realize that people are playing with the funds. It's just that people must understand whether or not there is a law, and I think there is a law that stipulates the amount that the passport should be sold for, and what MSI is saying, that some people have gone below that price. But Mr. Stanley, I know one half a loaf is better than no loaf at all. But we cannot go on a downward slope and nobody earn anything at all. At the end of the day, I think they really should be. And I think back when Dominica came down to 150, there was this joint consensus, but I'm not sure at what price they really settled that, you know. But if there is no local law, even a joint consensus must be backed by some, you know, very serious and committed understanding that I don't think really exists amongst the little islands who are doing the same thing, selling the same mangoes, to be honest. You know, so I think the law that the MSI or the company is talking about being breached is the local law that stipulates a price which the passport should be sold for.
Well, the lady brought a good case in point, because apparently there was certain number that was approved before the mess hit the fan.
Let me get this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Yes, good evening again. Do you guys think that it's a coincidence that the opposition, leaders of the opposition of the various territories that have CBI came out with a statement today about the CBI? Do you think it was just coincidence? Because I said that because it seemed to want to divorce what has happened with the lawsuit, filing of the lawsuit, from the fact that the claimant was in fact brought here by a signatory to that same press release today, the Premier of Nevis. Do you think all that is coincidence?
Let me, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
This whole affair, you're blaming it on the Premier of Nevis?
No, I'm not blaming, no, of course not.
Oh, okay.
No.
I just wanted.
But this attempt...
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Why at every turn you seem to want to... As a matter of fact, I don't think for the night you have mentioned the persons who are actually a part of the lawsuit, but you keep talking about the Premier of Nevis. Because
there are several people who want to just wash their hands of the whole thing, when in fact...
But you know, let me give you an idea of how people reason, right? And deal with issues. You're aware of the lawsuit in the United States that Trump just lost?
Yes.
You heard about a lot of noise that he made out of court?
Yep.
About is Obama do it and all these other people?
Yep.
Okay. You follow the trial, you hear them mention or his team offering any of that same evidence that they were putting out in the public about Obama. You heard them offer it in the court?
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
You know there is a reason why?
No, it doesn't matter.
But of course it matters. Work with me. It matters. Because when you have an issue, you either would deal with the issue or you put up a smoke screen.
Fine.
Right? And work with me. And so we're dealing with this issue of the lawsuit. And the lawsuit does not mention, let's say, Edric Stanley. But for some reason, NIAB just want to bring Stanley into it.
No,
and work with me.
You're not giving me a chance.
Okay, you want to go ahead and finish up and hang up,
Yeah,
and then but you wouldn't even let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to let you go ahead and talk, and then when you finish, you can hang up, and then I'll say what I have to say. That's fair?
Okay, fine.
Okay, go ahead.
The lawsuit, for instance, does not actually Well, actually, it mentions the National Bank, for instance. Okay? And so the government, although it is not directly mentioned, and the Prime Minister and the Premier as well, although they're not directly mentioned, because it has a consequence for the government, you can't divorce the two, which seems to be what all of them trying to do. Everybody say, it's not my fault. I had nothing to do with this. Everybody is claiming the same thing. So they had wrongdoing, but they are no wrongdoers, right? And I'm saying that a big part of this is politics. You can't divorce the two. So even if it doesn't come up in the court about the politics of the thing, to just ignore it in terms of the politics, you can't do that because of the consequences. That's my point. And so,
okay, thank you.
Enough hands and trying to observe oneself, I don't think is the right way to go. I think there should be more transparency and accountability. And personally, I feel there should have been an out of court settlement so that our name does not get more solid on the international scene. But we probably won't have that if everybody's saying it's not my fault. It probably would end up in court still. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Right. Okay, Edgar, go ahead.
The point is that certain number of passport or CBI of the CBI program had been approved, and then another number will have been approved later on. And one of the sticking points, based on what the lady is saying, there should have been an agreement for retroactivity, and I think that became a sticking point because the current Prime Minister shouldn't be allowed to do retroactivity in this regard. But it was approved before he became Prime Minister, and therefore it should have been under the old program, for whatever that old program was. He wanted to stick to retroactivity for the old program. However, again, this factor of getting it tried in a U.S. court should have far-reaching consequences for us as a small nation. And, as the lady stated, geopolitics was front and center with China and United States, and consequently that would play a role in determining whether or not there would be an adjudication in favor of St. Kitts Nevis.
I would like to move along from that particular topic because I think I personally have exhausted what I know or even my commentary on that topic, because it's if something's going to be in court and things shouldn't be said, and there are times we're not aware of the essence and the very depths of this lawsuits and so forth. I think we can only skim on the surface, and it looks to me like even though it's going to impact all of us, there are some wrong players, there are some wrongdoers, and I don't see any of these wrongdoers at this point coming from the Nevis end, really, at this point in time.
Why would MS media be used as to spearhead the action regarding the lawsuit?
Why would? Well, to me, I mean, to be clear and frank, it looks like somebody have done something wrong to a potential buyer of a product. Okay? And I understand there's some real estate which is a part of the whole scheme, because real estate always, in most cases, affiliated with the sale of passport and citizenship and all this type of stuff. And that's where I personally get lost in all this, because I haven't had a chance to read into the lawsuits. And so I want to be a bit tight-lipped about it. But all I know, it looks to me like the company wants to do maximum damage to the passport industry. It looks to me, the fact that they're going to the US with this. And, such people just doesn't trust the court here. They just feel like, okay, we're going to try this case here in the Federation, and we don't know how certain justice would be, coming from, the fact that, they tend to look at us sometimes in a manner where the three pillars of the economy sometimes get mixed up, and they just doesn't trust that aspect of our government and governance and judiciary. And so we take it to America, and that to me is an attempt to seriously impact on the industry of passport sales, seriously, and it might very well be, because our name, Sinkits Nevis, has always been, well, not just Sinkits Nevis, the whole passport scheme in the OECS is one of great concern from the international speculators.
Somewhere along the line, the jail that was proposed by the former Prime Minister is part and parcel.
It is part and parcel, yes.
Of this lawsuit.
That is one of the ventures where it seems like people was given passports to go and hunt for investors, and the underselling of the passport became almost something that it's acceptable. So there were individuals, there were people selling passports, not just government. People were given passport and said, well, okay, we're going to go and find investors. And so they make the arrangement between themselves and the investors as to how much the passport would be sold for. And I think that's the crux of it all.
Let me get a break.
Okay.
This is Thought That Get Results. Roger Fifield, Conrad Nye Library, Edric W. Stanley. Your phone calls on 1-869-469-1616 and 01700. Back after these.
8 acres of land on the island's main road opposite the Gingerland Methodist Church is up for sale. Contact Stanley's Real Estate for serious inquiries or for more information at 1-869-665-5634 or 1-869-469-3868.
Builder's Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. Builder's Paradise has over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builder's Paradise has what you need. Wow! Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. This is something that you can't refuse. Visit Builder's Paradise today at the C.A. Paul Southwell Industrial Site in St. Kitts or call them at 466-4938.
all the power from the tower. This is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean. VON Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Back on this episode of Talk That Get Results, Edric W. Stanley, Conrad Nye Liebert, Roger Fifield. Your phone calls on 1-869-469-1616 and 1700. Gentlemen, with your permission, I'd like to divert a little, mention two things, and then come back. That's okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. Brand is not here tonight. Good evening, Mr. Brand. Hope all is well. And Ted, hello. Mr. Brand normally would, let us know who's in the bereaved column and stuff like that and so on. So he's not here. But I just wanted to mention the family of the late Pastor Jones, the family of the late William Griffin, and the family of the late teacher Althea Wallace in the St. James area. Just to let them know that we got them. Okay?
Althea Daniel.
Althea, yes, Althea Daniel. See, you don't know them as good as me, Edric, because she was Wallace before she was Daniel.
I'm telling you what she's currently. Yes.
So why does, whenever I say anything, somebody just feel that I'm supposed to say it the way they should say it? They would have done it.
I know them too.
But you didn't want to make the announcement an hour and a half ago.
Not.
But you knew then. Okay. Anyway, that's just a light moment. The other thing I wanted to mention is for artists, songwriters, singers, anybody in that heading under that category. You got a song for Culturama. We got a contest going on here at Vaughan Radio. You're going to hear more about it in the week. It's in association with Horsford's Nevis Center, where you can, if your song is already released, it has to be an original song. In other words, you can lift somebody's song and bring it and put it in. It has to be an original song. I think it has to be a contribution that you're making one way or the other for Culturama 50, right? And the public will vote to see which is the song of the year. We'll give you all the details. So all your artists stand by, and Culturama 50. So this is done Vaughan Radio in association with Horsford Nevis Center. And if you're lucky at the end and win, you get $100.
Is that 1-5?
$100
Okay.
for the 50th anniversary of Culturama. Is that neat or not?
That's neat.
I like how you put it over.
Well, that's what it is.
That's neat.
Huh?
That's neat.
That's neat. That's neat. So you all will hear all about it, right? So as I said, you got your song ready. That's not a problem. But the point is, you have to register the song with us, and the public will vote on our website and on the radio, etc. We'll give you all the details, right? So it's a good way for the artists, encouragement, and it is a massive way for Horsford to show that they continue to support and stuff. So what do you think, Edric? Let me first ask Fifield. Fifield, what do you think?
Well, but I believe that it's really a wonderful gesture. I believe that if it is open not just to maybe calypsonians or soca artists alone, I want to believe that you would get good participation.
Singers, it doesn't matter whether
Right. So persons who can sing, I want to put out this pitch, that you should register and be a part of it. There are monies to be won here, and have some good fun. It's Culturama 50.
And that's only a little sample of what we're going to be doing here, you know. Now, what do you think?
Man, it's a great injection. It's a good thing, Webbo. I think, I mean, station's going to benefit, their
Calypsonian, the sponsors. More people's going to tune in. More people's going to be a part of it. I think these are the things that make Carnival, make festival, and create a festive occasion. It's Culturama 50, so these things should be happening, and I'm so happy that you thought of it and will be doing it, because I can see people having great fun. Voting on what song they think is the best song for the year, and the money is good. 5,000.
1,500. Edric, what do you think?
Well, of course, it impinges or galvanizes the creativity of the artists or the participants, and that is the most important aspect in my view, because it forces people to think and create and ultimately produce something of that magnitude. As a result, I rate it A+.
Yeah, A+.
Webbo, I just want to add to that too again, because what this particular competition does, in my view, persons who are not or want to be on the stage per se, they would have an opportunity to be a part of Culturama.
Compete.
You may have persons, maybe like a Ginger, who would probably contribute over the years, but not on stage. You have guys like Chaplet. You may even have maybe a Flamingo who may not want to perform on stage, but he may want to be a part. Good evening, Flamingo. How are you doing, my friend? Who may want to be a part of this type of competition. And other persons, maybe the King Bingi, he haven't been on the stage, for a while. I'm not sure if he's registered. But these are persons, Chevy, these are persons who would not have been on the stage, physical stage, for quite a while, and may just want to be a part of this. So I think all is good. I think it's a good gesture again, and who knows, I may just take that.
Yeah, and one of the good thing about it is that we're not putting a panel of judges together.
Yes.
To say
The public.
with the public, right? And we're gonna be as transparent as ever. You when you go to the website and you vote, you'll see who is voting for who, and then when you call in and we record that when you vote for so and so, So I think that, as you guys have mentioned, we're trying to create the atmosphere and the fun and everything in it. So, and that's one of the reasons why I think we did not go for a panel of judges, because judge cheat and blah, blah, blah. So let the public decide. One question that was asked in the discussion: can Edric enter with his poem?
That's what I was thinking.
So, well, what do you think, Naya?
You can. A poem, you put music to a poem and it becomes a song. And so, Mr. Stanley, we'll have to take a few verses of that poem that he has. How much verse? It was over 100 and something verse.
Well, quite a number of poems I have. And I'm trying to get something done for the 50th anniversary, but I've been so busy in the real estate business, so busy that it takes some time. I trying to get maybe another 6 poems on the 19 I have already.
Wow.
So you mean you would want to enter 25?
25.
25
in this contest?
Well, don't hold me to it. I'm busy. I'm very busy.
Anyway, as I said,
I'm very busy.
Yeah.
But eventually, I was contacted by the people from St. Kitts and they asked me what I have for the 50th.
Okay, so but right.
Yeah.
We're talking about this contest though.
Yeah.
So I just want to let folks know again. We'll be getting the details, but you can get ready for it. That is just one of the mega things that the Powerhouse is doing for Culturama 50. Gentlemen, I'm very appreciative of the fact that you like it.
Yeah.
I hope everybody likes it, and participate and stuff like that. Okay, you mentioned a few names. Fifield, we're good. Those fellas, put something in, and we'll be playing the songs all the time and so on. People hear them and stuff like that. So we'll be hearing more about it, and you all register and participate. So those were the two things that I wanted to mention. Let me get this first before I go back to the panel. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Hello. Good evening, Webbo.
Yes.
Good evening. Yes, I love your initiative. I love that creative touch there from Van Radio. How soon though will the information will be on the radio? And maybe I could force your hand a little bit. Is this competition, will the participants have to like record something, or you just call in on the radio and you sing your pretty little heart out?
No, they have to record something.
Okay.
Yes.
But how soon will we be getting the information?
We're trying to get it out this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're trying to get the rules out. We're gonna put a promo out on the air with the details, but this is one attempt so that persons can know to get themselves ready and organized. As a matter of fact, you can take it from here. If you have a song, write it and start recording it. If you already have a song, just keep it on standby when we say registration is open, and then you register it.
Okay, all right.
Because some of the songs, remember, some the fellows have released already. We're playing some songs
yes,
before.
I've heard quite a few of them.
Right.
So those songs will be eligible as well?
They're eligible, but they have to register them. Okay. Meaning, let us suppose that, let's say Astro has a song out there. He just can't take it for granted that as part of the competition. He has to come and register. My name is Astro, I wrote the song, this is the song. That's it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question too. Anything in the making for musicians like myself?
Sure, you can put that music to it and put some words and put it in.
Okay.
In that regard, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You see, it doesn't matter. It could be a reggae, It could be a reggae song. It doesn't have to be a calypso.
Once is there a topic, or you just sing whatever comes to you?
Anything.
Gospel,
anything. Once
but
the public,
all that information will be on the release, the information that you're going to be
yes. Once what you have to do, keep in mind, is that you do something that you think the public will like. And that's how you can top everybody else. People like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
It's going to be a hit, Webbo, I think. It's going to be quite a good feature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a good feature in the whole Culturama mix. I see that stirring up a lot of interest and providing a lot of fun for people, really.
Yeah, and I, like I said, and let me repeat, that's just one, that's just one.
Song contest.
I mean, we've been working, and we feel we are satisfied that
boost all the way.
Yeah, we
boost all the way around. Even the recording, the studios, because people now want to get a song recorded, just to put on the air.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win all around. Quite a a big thing to the whole kind of Culturama feeling.
Yeah, we have our own things here that we're going to do to, encourage and excite, make people happy if we can,
People, I'm sure they're all intrigued and excited, The caller sound, like he's ready.
He's a musician.
He better get ready. Hello, good evening.
Yes, Webbo, one other question. Like I say, curiosity has gotten the best of me. So each individual, you could enter more than one song, or you're just up to one song per person.
I'm gonna say now that I don't think it matters. If you want to enter 50, I believe it'll be okay.
Okay.
What I would do is put work in one or two. Yeah, right. Me personally would put into two songs the work I would have put into 50. That's what I would do. But some people gamble differently.
Okay, well, let me say congratulations to Van Radio TV, Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse. That's a real good initiative, man. That is really great. So congratulations, guys.
He's excited.
All right, thank you.
He's excited, Webbo.
Yeah, well, that's that. We were hoping that that would happen, and again, we really like to thank Horsford's Nevis Center, the manager, Mr. Walters. There, when we spoke to him and Mr. Wally in St. Kitts, I thought we are on board with this thing. And that's not mean fee. That's some solid sponsorship there sure.
Because many songs that doesn't make it to the higher levels of the competition, like finals and semi-finals, sometimes the people of a song that never even go nowhere.
That's
in
true.
a big way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Particular artists, Wheeler is known for that. People like
right.
At times,
and years ago, you remember they had this song. When we did the Powerhouse 40, it was right up there in the top 10. They had this song, "The Mighty Finn." Let them come if that was a crowd favorite.
I listened to it the other day.
The fellow said the last man he beat up end up in Botek, Russia.
So they think Howard is a coward.
I find it, the guy is a superstar. As a matter of fact, full disclosure, we were doing some hard work about 2-3 years ago to get him on stage. I was trying to get him back here from Africa, but I'm still working on it. That's thing. So, yes.
Sean Richards, who has been the party leader of PAM, he got a safe seat from Heiliger, and he has been there ever since. The lady who has been elected as party leader, I don't remember her name, Brown?
Natasha Gray Brooks.
Brooks. You said Brooks?
Natasha Gray Brooks.
She ran unopposed in the last election, as the news clip may have stated. Is she from that Heiliger constituency?
Number 1.
Okay.
East Bastia.
Okay.
She ran in the last federal election against the now Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Jeffrey.
Oh, okay. He's my cousin.
Well, you tell me, I don't know.
He's Uncle Sorrel grandson.
Okay.
Ivan Hanley son. Anyhow, I'm just trying to figure out how this lady, which means she has made history, and has gotten the nod of the party executive and the party leader, current leader, and so on, and she She's the new leader of the party.
Is she the first female leader
Female
of a
leader.
political party
In
in
St.
St.
Kitts.
Kitts? That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yes.
So she has made history. We should say congratulations to her from the Michael Vaughan Radio.
Indeed. Indeed. Congratulations.
Trump's conviction. Everybody knows that Trump is an alleged scoundrel. He is at the top of his game, but I have railed against him because he should not have gotten elected in that second to last election that he ran. But he got elected, but got convicted simply because that is part of his game a long time. But he's got caught this time and been convicted. 34 counts, and the polls show that 56% of the people in the United States, 56%, let me back up, not all the people in the United States, but 56% of the polls shows that he is an alleged scoundrel. And as a result, they shouldn't look beyond what he was to defy the conviction he has gotten from the people of New York, whom he said if he goes down a street in New York and he shoots somebody, nothing gonna become of it. How could they know saying?
I think the trial was politically driven.
No, that was not politically driven. The man is a known scoundrel.
Even though he might be, I think that particular trial was politically driven.
Today, the Justice Department had to answer questions. I do not know if through the Judiciary Committee, if he has to come back tomorrow. But in my view, that was not politically driven. He had it coming because that is how he operates. So if you decide that you can walk down the street of New York and shoot somebody and nothing gonna become of it, and you involved in a business cover-up, and you could see the workings as to how he has directed Michael Cohen to do his dirty jobs.
The outcome was not
Dirty work.
That's the last word. This program repeats at 10 o'clock following the VON News Minute tomorrow morning. Join the Honorable Mark Brantley at 8 o'clock tomorrow evening for On the Mark. Join Keith Scarborough at 8 o'clock on Thursday evening right here in the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse for Government at Work. A place to spend your evening right here in the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. Thank you all again for joining us. This is your voice in the community. Thought that get results. You all have a wonderful evening.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the News Broadcasting Company.